On today's show, full reaction to Team USA's Olympic orientation camp roster.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to this Wednesday, August 20th edition of the Locked On NHL podcast. I'm Ross Levitan. You can find me 5 days a week over at Locked On Ottawa Senators. As always, it's a Battle of Ontario edition, joined by Mike DiStefano from Locked On Maple Leafs. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. Mike, I was laughing in my head saying, hey, two Canadians are going to react to Team USA's Olympic orientation camp roster. But hey, both of our team's captains are already named to the team. So let's go. Let's get into it. What was your reaction when you saw the 44 names that are invited to camp?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of the names you expected to be there, obviously. A couple surprises as well, and a couple of snubs, as per usual. When you get a list like this that comes out, everyone kind of takes a peek, combs through. You start to notice, oh, there's no Brock Besser. Oh, there's no John Carlson, who's been a staple for Team USA for years. And you start to take a deeper look. I don't know about you, but the one name that really stuck out to me that was not invited to camp that I think is getting the most publicity is the fact that Lane Hudson wasn't invited. Lane Hudson got a 66-point rookie season for the Americans. It's not that I think that he was a lock to make the team by any stretch of the imagination, but you would think that they would at least want to get him in the fold, get him at camp. Like he's been at, through the system. He was born and bred American, went through the program through the NCAA, made the World Junior team, made a splash there. And for some reason, the Olympic orientation camp, we're good. We don't need to bring you. That one did surprise me.
Yeah, me too. And we'll get to more snubs a little bit later. I want to focus on the players that were there because I feel like Billy Guerin might have had a height requirement at some point. Alex DeBrincat, 39 goals, also not on this roster, but they did decide to go with 16 defensemen, 24 forwards, and 4 goalies for this orientation camp. You can find the full list online. We'd just be saying names if we just mentioned every single player that was there. I do want to start in goal, though, because that to me is Team USA's biggest strength, and there's only one net. They've got the reigning back-to-back Vezina winner, Connor Hellebuyck, who's had his struggles in the postseason. You've had Jake Ottinger, who beat him in the postseason this year with his Dallas Stars. Jeremy Swayman, coming off a disappointing by his standards season. And then Joey Daccord, the upstart goalie for the Seattle Kraken, also invited. Do you think Joey Daccord has any chance of being one of the top 3? Can he get on this team over Jeremy Swayman?
No, I don't think so. I'm surprised Joe Daccord got invited, to be honest with you. He's been a good goalie, don't get me wrong. He's been great out in Seattle, but there's a couple other goalies that I think probably have a better shot at making the team that aren't at the camp over Joey Daccord. But I think they'll probably just go with the same 3 goalies that they brought to the Four Nations, and that was Hellebuyck and Ottinger and Jeremy Swayman. I think they're pretty set with those 3. I think there is a drop-off to Joey Daccord from those guys. It would have to take a really, really poor start to the season for Boston and for Jeremy Swayman, I guess, for him to fall out of it. I'm pretty comfortable with Hellebuyck and Ottinger, obviously. I mean, there is a question mark on Swayman, but I don't know if Daccord necessarily is the next man up. I can think of a couple of goalies, like a Thatcher Demko, who I was surprised to not see there. That might factor into that equation if he's healthy and playing well to start the year. Potentially, Anthony Stolarz here in Toronto as well. So I'm not too sure if Joey Daccord has a real opportunity to make this team, but good on him for getting an invite to the camp.
Who is your starting goalie right now for Team USA? If we're turning the clock forward to February, it's game 1 of the Olympics.
Connor Hellebuyck.
Yeah.
I don't I understand the playoffs and his numbers in the postseason have been pretty terrible, but he played well at the Four Nations, right? The last time we saw him in international play. It wasn't his fault that they lost to the Canadians in the gold medal game. He played well. So for me, it's Connor Hellebuyck all the way. I don't think you really shy away from him at all in a must-win do or die.
Yeah, I'm right with you. So Connor Hellebuck will lead this team. Where do you think the bigger strength lays for Team USA? Is it a forward or defense?
Oh, it's totally defense, man. Like the defense that they have, like they could come up with two teams, like an A squad and a B squad on the blue line, and I would honestly be okay with them taking either or. Like it's just so deep. There's so many good, young, talented defensemen on the American side of the border. Like they're going to be able to do it all. Like they've got some guys who have 200-foot capabilities. They've got guys like Jacob Slavin who are just pure defensive stalwarts. They've got some offensive dynamos as well out there. Dudes who can get the puck up to your forwards, guys who can take the puck and bring it up the ice for you, whether it's Zach Werenski or it's Quinn Hughes. Like they've got a little bit of everything. Like that's such a talented blue line. I don't think it's really all that out of pocket. I know I'm a Canadian citizen, but I don't think it's out of pocket to say that the Americans have the better blue line group than Canada. I think that'll be the best blue line group at the Olympics.
Yeah, and there's gonna be some tough decisions to make
Very
there,
tough.
and guys, and you mentioned John Carlson not even getting an invite. Like I think to me the biggest, where are they gonna go? There's actually two names. One of them, I could see Ryan McDonough making this team at 36, 37 years old. And I know it seems crazy to say when you look at the depth of left shot defensemen they have, but if we learned anything over the years with USA Hockey, they're trying to build a team. I don't think they're going to go with having three number one defensemen on the left side. I think that they're going to say who's going to be our best penalty killing option.
Right.
And I think that could be a surprise. Seth Jones to me is an interesting one to watch, where there's some warts in his game that many were straightened out when he went down to Florida with the Panthers. He could be a guy that people aren't talking about that could make this team. Obviously, there's the locks. Jacob Slavin's going to make this team. Quinn Hughes is going to make this team. Charlie McAvoy is going to make this team. And so will Zach Werenski. And we're already running out of room before mentioning guys like Jake Sanderson, like Brett Pesce, I think.
Adam Fox, no longer a lock for Team USA?
Crazy, right?
Is he not a lock?
I think he should be.
I would think so. You didn't mention him in the lock section.
I know.
You mentioned four guys. I think Adam Fox would probably put his hand up and be like, I think I'm a fifth lock there. Which means there's only three other. Yeah, which means there's only three other spots, really. Yeah. Typically, they'll go 14, 8, and 3, right? On a 25-man roster.
Correct.
So that really only means that three out of those other guys are going to make it.
And Billy G's picking the team, and he likes Brock Faber, too.
He does. He does have an affinity for Brock Faber, Brady Shea, Brett Pesce.
Jackson Lacombe, sneaky, great
player. Yeah.
He's not going to make this team, but he's a sneaky, very good player.
But he's a guy you want to invite so that you have him and he's on the radar for next year, right? Or for the next Olympics in 2030, right? So it makes sense, which is also why it didn't make sense not to have Lane Hudson there for the same purpose, but it's neither here nor there. We don't need to harp on that much longer. But yeah, like it's just a loaded stack. Noah Hannafin will have a say. He'll have an opportunity probably to put his name in that hat. So yeah, the US, like the defense corp that they'll send out to the tournament, it's gonna be stacked no matter who they decide to take.
On the other side, we'll look at the forwards with Team USA and how are they going to place the centerman? Because as we know with international teams, a lot of these guys play down the middle. So who's the best opportunity? Who will have the best opportunity to play on the wing as a natural centerman? Those conversations are next. You're listening to Locked On NHL, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Need last-minute tickets? Of course you want them at the lowest prices, so go check out our friends at Gametime. We've all been there, logging on early, waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show that you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% with their killer last-minute deals. The Gametime guarantee has your back with cancellation protection and more. You can also get a panoramic seat view, and the price that you see is the price you pay with no hidden fees. So take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL. That's LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Welcome back, Locked On NHL, your team every day. We're looking at the Olympic Orientation Camp roster, which will be a 2-day event this summer in Plymouth, Michigan. Largely an administrative and team-building event. No formal on-ice activity or public component will take place. Basically, all you're going to hear is the names that attend. It shows you where they stand with USA Hockey. Up front, superstars: Austin Matthews, Jack Eichel. I don't want to miss guys, so I'm going through this very slowly. Actually, let's start with this because I think he's a superstar, but didn't make the Four Nations team. Tage Thompson has to be on this roster, right?
Well, he's one of those guys you talk about who can definitely kick over to the right side and play the wing position, but someone who can certainly, he's got that size that Billy G obviously likes and wants to put out on the ice, and he can really rip the puck. Like, we're talking about a guy who scored 40 goals in the NHL twice in the last handful of years. So, yeah, I mean, if you're looking to score a little bit more, which might be one of the things you want to try and do, considering that you brought a rough and tumble team, a veteran team, to the Four Nations, didn't win, didn't turn out the way they wanted to. So how do you adjust? Maybe adding a guy like a Tage Thompson, who could still bring a little bit of physicality. He's got the size to do it, but can also really rip the puck and put up some numbers offensively. So that's a guy who I think for sure has an opportunity that wasn't at Four Nations that could work his way onto the team.
I'm really curious to see how they use the Four Nations as an indicator for this team, because two players who should be on the Olympic team, and I still think will, but did not play well at the Four Nations, Jack Hughes and Kyle Connor.
Yeah. Oh, they'll for sure. Like those two are locks for me.
Kyle Connor was a healthy scratch in the championship game. He finished 6th in the National Hockey League in points last year.
No, I know. I still look at those two as absolute locks to make this team, though. Like, Kyle Connor is one of the best goal scorers in the world, like let alone in USA. So they'll certainly be able to bring those guys. You want those guys on your roster. I think Jack Hughes, he's a stud, right? We all know that he's a stud. If he's healthy, he's going to be there too. So I have no worries about those guys getting squeezed out of USA.
Could Jack Hughes be an option to play the wing for you though? Because like build this team down the middle. And in the last segment, I'm going to go through my projected roster, but like the centermen are filling up way too fast. Because for me, and I want your take on this, my centermen go Matthews at 1, Eichel at 2, JT Miller at 3, and Dylan Larkin at 4.
That's probably how I'd put it. Like, Miller can play the wing. I'll say that. Like, he's played the wing a lot in his career. He's a very flexible player. So if you wanted to, you could shove him over the wing as well. But that's probably how I would have it right now. I mean, depending on if one of these other guys can make the team, like does Brock Nelson, who made Four Nations, does he push his way onto the team? If that's the case, that probably would put him as your 4C, and maybe that moves Larkin up to 3C potentially. But I think for sure, you could look at it and say, well, we've got enough guys who we feel comfortable in a 200-foot capacity that could push a guy like Jack Hughes over to the wing, or that could push, a Tage Thompson over to the wing, or even a JT Miller, like I said, over to the wing. Like, that's the beauty of international hockey, is you usually have an abundance of centermen, and you got to figure out who do you like down the middle and who can push out and play most impactful down the middle for you, and who can you shove out to the wing that can also do some things for you. So it's going to be interesting to see how they decide to put the group together.
And it should be noted as well that the Olympics now will be on NHL size ice. So no longer will you be saying, oh, how does this guy's game translate to the big ice? No, it's going to be on the same NHL ice surface. Another name I want to throw at you wasn't on Four Nations, but he is USA Hockey over the course of the last 2 decades, maybe.
Ooh, yeah.
Patrick Kane.
I'm not sure. Like
Maybe as an extra, you just bring him.
But like, do you really have space for a legacy pick? Like, let's be honest, you're going for an Olympic gold here. Like, it's not a charity tournament. I don't know. If Patrick Kane isn't one of the best 14 forwards that could make this group better, I don't think you bring him. I mean, that's just my opinion. I think you got to bring the best team you possibly can bring. And I don't think at this point, he's 38 years old, I believe, 37, 38.
30. He'll be 37 during the Olympics.
He's not what he used to be. Not what he used to be. And I'd be surprised if they brought him. They didn't bring him to Four Nations.
No, they didn't. But the Olympics, it's showtime.
Yeah, it's better. It's better. It's more important. So like if you're not going to bring him to the B tournament, you're going to bring him to the A tournament. I don't know. I'm not sold.
Well, yeah, no, I'm just curious because again, Team USA has made decisions in the past that make you raise an eyebrow. And I think that would be one of those where you're giving respect to a veteran. But
I don't know. We saw Canada do that. What was it? 06?
Oh,
Canada did that. It didn't turn out very well.
That was so bad.
Bring the best team. Bring the best team. Actually, if it's the Americans, do that. Actually, I as a Canadian, bring him. Bring Brock Nelson. Bring Frank Nazar. Go ahead. Take Frank Nazar to the tournament. Do it. Take him.
A little ricochet shot for Frankie. No,
I just thought that was like one of the.
You didn't want to say Matthew Nyes?
Well, he deserves to be there, so definitely not. Like probably like Pinto. Like,
hey, bring him. Bring him. Look at his numbers at the World Championships the last 2 years. That's why Team USA Hockey brought them. I don't think people can discount how much.
Why is Pinto always playing at the World Championships?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
wow,
he's done well there though.
Yeah,
10 points in 8 games this year.
It's probably has something to do because he's got nothing else to do.
Yeah. Oh man, he actually did a good job on Austin Matthews. I wonder if they asked Matthews about him. Said, hey, what do you think? Maybe he beats out Larkin for fourth line center role, pal.
Doubtful. Very doubtful.
I'm just
picture here on that one.
What we said on Locked On Sens was this is just huge for confidence for him going into the season.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely it is. I think that's a big confidence boost to get an opportunity like this. And same with like Frank Nazar, like and Alex Vlasic and Jackson Lacombe. Like I think a lot of those guys, even Luke Hughes, I don't expect for those guys to make the team per se, but they'll definitely be in the mix for 2030. And to have them brought to the tournament, I think, or brought to this orientation camp, kind of rub elbows with some of the best in the world, I think is only, gonna benefit them for their club teams, but also kind of help moving forward and, let them know what USA Hockey is all about. Hey, make sure you come to our World Championships when the offer comes out. That'll put you in good standing moving forward as well. So makes sense that they bring a couple of guys like that, some younger players, kind of getting ready to gear up for 4 years from now.
Surprises. Who were the names that jumped out at you that were invited where you're like, really?
Frank Nazar, like that one to me was like the biggest surprise. I'm like, all right, okay, all right, sure, whatever. Not to say that I don't think he's going to be a good player, but like he's really young, he's barely played. I just like Brock Besser is a guy who you could have brought who's been, a long-standing member of USA Hockey. They decided not to bring him. Alex DeBrincat, you talked about that, decided not to bring him. And I'm just like, Nazar, all right, that sure. Connor Garland was another guy where I was like, that's an interesting pick. But again, like it's USA, I get it in a sense where they want to put together a team and there's role players and depth guys that they're going to need. And like Garland can play, a fourth line grinder role for this team. So it makes sense in that capacity. But overall, like Nazar was probably the most, I don't know, the weirdest one to me where I was like, I would not have bet, like I would have bet copious amounts of money that he was not going to get an offer to this camp. And lo and behold, I would have lost my shirt.
Yeah, I'll take Brian Rust as my option. Decent player, but like I don't think he's.
Oh, I'm not surprised at all.
Really?
Mike Sullivan's the coach.
Oh, true. That explains it. You have a 30-goal season, but I don't know if he's an Olympic level player. The other one for me, and maybe you can shoot back on this one too, but and this kind of goes with hand in hand with Lane Hudson, left shot defenseman Brady Shea at this point in his career.
I mean, again, not a guy who's probably going to make the team, but if he's been a dude that maybe has played some world championship hockey for them. I think he's played under Tortorella, who's also there. So maybe that's a Torts guy who banged the table to bring in Brady Shea. But yeah, like probably not going to make the team.
No.
He probably would have preferred like a Lane Hudson be at the camp over him, or John Carlson be at the camp over him. But I'm not Billy G. I didn't make the team.
No, you didn't, but I'm going to make my team on the other side. You're listening to Locked On NHL, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It is the betting partner here with Locked On, and August 26th is now an official holiday. It's FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictors. So whether you're calling for your MVP, I got Lamar Jackson. I know it's the favorite, but I do think he's going to have an unreal season. Or if you're lying in a long shot division winner, like my Chicago Bears, or you're ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. Take a flyer on the MVP race. Crown your champion, or you can even parlay your division winner dark horses. You can do it all at the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. That's August 26th. FanDuel, play your game. Welcome back, Locked On NHL. Shout out to all our everydayers making us your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network. For your second listen, go check out Locked On Senators, Locked On Maple Leafs, all the great shows we have on the Locked On Podcast Network, where we are your team every day. We are less than 2 months away from the regular season, but of course there is no off season in the National Hockey League, just months where they don't play games, as we've had lots of great moments throughout this offseason. Most recently, of course, we get the orientation camp roster for Team USA, which begs the question, who's going to make the actual team? So I took my stab at it and guessed kind of a mix of what I think deserves to happen, but also I took into account Team USA hockey. I looked at the Four Nations roster. I looked at kind of how they built that team. It's going to be the same people in charge, from head coach Mike Sullivan to general manager Bill Guerin. And this is what I've come up with. And the Olympic roster is typically 14 forwards, 8 defensemen, and 3 goalies. So let's start in the crease, where it's about as easy as 1, 2, 3. Connor Hellebuck, the reigning back-to-back Vezina winner, will be the starting goalie on my team, followed by Jake Ottinger and Jeremy Swayman. No disrespect to the names that Mikey and I mentioned earlier with Joey Decord, Anthony Stolarz had a fantastic last season, but these are the 3 guys that we expect to anchor the crease for Team USA. Up to the blue line, where injuries obviously took a toll at the Four Nations. They didn't have Quinn Hughes at all. Charlie McAvoy had that certainly unfortunate circumstance where he ended up missing the end of that and then much of the rest of his NHL season. Adam Fox didn't play great, but they're still elite players. So if I'm breaking it down, the blue line is going to be Quinn Hughes with Charlie McAvoy as the top pair, followed by Zach Werenski and Adam Fox. Then I'm going to go with a pair that was very relied upon at the Four Nations, and that was Jacob Slavin with Brock Faber. I think Brock Faber's got a little more to prove, but with Bill Guerin picking the team, I think he's comfortably as a right shot defenseman in that spot on the third pair. My extras are Jake Sanderson and Seth Jones. I went with a lefty and a righty. You can't bring anybody over once you're there. So I think this gives the flexibility of having 4 left shot defensemen and 4 right shot defensemen on the roster. I did hum and haw about Ryan McDonough, who can play the left or the right side and is a fantastic penalty killing option. But you also have Jake Sanderson, who can play the power play or the penalty kill. He can play the left or right side as well. So I think Jake Sanderson as more of a young up-and-coming player. They're going to want him to get another Olympic experience because you might not remember that Jake Sanderson was actually on the last Olympic roster when there were no NHL players there. So that's my blue line. Hughes, McAvoy, Werenski, Fox, Slavin, Faber, with Jake Sanderson and Seth Jones also making the trip to Italy. Up front, this was tough because you're trying to build a team, and that means that you leave off elite players. And I felt bad doing it, but I did. Austin Matthews is going to be the centerman on the top line with Jake Gensel and Tage Thompson. I think this line's got a little bit of everything. You get the size with Matthews and Thompson. You get the elite goal scoring of Matthews, Gensel, and Thompson, and they can all play make as well. So I think this is an elite top line. And if this is the way that Team USA goes, that's a line that can go up against anybody in the tournament. The second line, I'm going to stick with what Team USA did in the Four Nations final. I know Matthew Tkachuk only played a few shifts before having to pack it in with the injury that cost him much of the second half of his regular season in the NHL. Of course, he battled through it in the playoffs, but I'm going with Jack Eichel centering the Tkachuk boys. Brady Tkachuk at left wing, Matthew Tkachuk at right wing. I just think there's so much talent in that trio, and they also play that physical role. Now, if this was on the old international ice where it's wider, I might have thought twice about putting the Tkachuks on the same line. They obviously not the fastest guys in the league, but when you get into the corners, you want to create space for Jack Eichel to do his thing. So I think Eichel with Brady and Matthew Tkachuk, fantastic second line for Team USA. The third line, I went with a third scoring line here. Jack Hughes at center with Kyle Connor at left wing and Matt Boldy at right wing. I think this line, again, I'm trying to get a little bit of everything on each line. You got the playmaker in Jack Hughes, you got the goal scorer in Kyle Connor, and the big body who can do both in Matt Boldy at right wing, which leaves the fourth line. And this is where I went with the defensive conscious of the team. Guys who can be penalty killers, guys who can be out there defending a lead late in the game. I went with Dylan Larkin at center, JT Miller at left wing, and Vincent Trocheck at right wing. Vinny Trocheck, my 12th forward, but here's the pitch for him. He's good offensively. He's one of the best face-off men in the National Hockey League. You're going to have to win puck possession. Even though he lines up at wing, I do want to get him out there for face-offs whenever the case, when you really need one. And Larkin's good at face-offs too, don't get me wrong, but I could even see where maybe Hughes moves over to the wing for a few shifts and you're able to have Larkin, Trocheck down the middle, or at least taking those big draws. My biggest like these two guys, they make the team, but they're extras. Cole Caulfield, you need to have a guy who if you get an unfortunate injury in the top six, you need to be able to have guys that can come in and provide offense. So to me, Cole Caulfield is that guy. He should be on this team. And it's just a matter of when he'll get his opportunity. I could see if Kyle Connor doesn't perform like he didn't at the Four Nations, maybe Caulfield jumps in and plays with Jack Hughes. Obviously, they got that amazing chemistry from when they were at the USN TDP together years ago. And I believe Boldy was on that team as well, if I'm not mistaken. My other one, look, probably not on my team, but I want it to be a little more realistic. And Team USA loves Chris Kreider. We'll see how he looks with his new threads in Anaheim this year. But Chris Kreider, I think you can pencil it in. I think he's going to be on this team, whether you like it or not. That made the final cuts extremely difficult. Jason Robertson, star player, not just because he's in Dallas, but he's an awesome hockey player. That was really hard to leave him off. And Alex Tuck, who I think gets a little underrated, but he is an absolute star player for the Buffalo Sabres. He can skate, he can kill penalties, he can be an offensive weapon on top of it all. So those were my two most difficult cuts to make on this team, was leaving off Jason Robertson and Alex Tuck. But I still think I like my team quite a bit. And you can let me know where your team would be different than mine in the YouTube comments. And I appreciate you listening for another episode of Locked On NHL podcast. Shout out to Mike DiStefano, who had to run. He's over at Locked On Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm Ross Levitan with Locked On Senators. We'll hand it over to Thursday's edition of Locked On NHL. Make sure you're checking out all the bonus episodes of Locked On NHL Game Night that we're putting up here on the Locked On NHL podcast channel, where we have all of our local experts joining the boys from Locked On NHL Game Night to take you through the expectations and predictions of each team heading into the 2025-26 season. Maybe next week we'll do Team Canada's Olympic roster projections, but it's going to be such a fun tournament taking place in February in Italy. That's it for us today. This has been another episode of the Locked On NHL podcast, your team every day.